Minister Justin Trudeau is proclaiming his love of the free press. But does he really mean it, or is he just doing his usual anti-Trump preening for his international fan club? Today, we're going to take a look at some of Justin Trudeau's treatment of the press, past and present. Did you ever notice how when the Liberals get in front of the international media, the first thing they do is go full Trump derangement? Remember when in the middle of NAFTA renegotiations, the minister in charge of those very renegotiations, Chrystia Freeland, spoke at a panel that called Donald Trump a tyrant? When Trump imposed a travel ban from a handful of countries, proving themselves time and time again to be terrorist hotbeds and failed states, Justin Trudeau then just had to virtue signal that everybody was welcome here in Canada. It's like they have to be the opposite of Donald Trump at all times, even if Donald Trump is 100% correct. Trump revoked CNN journalist Jim Acosta's hard pass at the White House for his consistently erratic behavior during press conferences. So now Justin Trudeau fancies himself to be the defender of the free press. Trudeau was speaking at the Paris Peace Forum this past Sunday at a press freedom event. Just listen to this here.
That very capacity for a citizen to engage with truth is under attack. Attacks on the media are not just about getting your preferred political candidate elected, for example. They're about increasing the level of cynicism that citizens have towards all authorities.
Attacks on the media are threats to democracy, you say. Well, that is sure interesting, especially since after Trudeau took office, Canada slipped out of the top 20 in press freedom and has just this year now crept back up into the standings. But let's go back in time a little to talk about Justin Trudeau's past treatment of the free press, all the way back to August 4th in the year of Y2K. That's the day of the now famous Kokanee Grope. In an editorial published just days after the incident in the Creston Advance, Trudeau is accused of inappropriately handling a young reporter who felt blatantly disrespected by the actions committed against her by Trudeau. Trudeau is reported to have said to her, "I'm sorry, if I had known you were reporting for a national newspaper, I would never have been so forward." I guess Trudeau thought it was perfectly okay to grab reporters in a sexual fashion as long as they're, like the local sort of reporter. Maybe Justin Trudeau wasn't grabbing her, but rather supporting her by her press freedom. Anyway, let's keep going. Now, look at this weirdness buried in a Globe and Mail article from 2016 about how Justin Trudeau's personal photographer, Adam Scotty, is helping to shape his public image. The journalist, Eric Andrew G., asked a very innocuous question to Justin Trudeau during what was supposed to be just a selfie-taking session and photo op. The reporter asked Justin Trudeau what it's like to be the most photographed person in Canada. Hardly a risque question, not exactly a policy question either. And Justin Trudeau indeed answered with some of his usual mumbo-jumbo about being true to who you are. Fine, right? But look what the journalist says happened next. But not everyone is happy. When the Prime Minister has gone, his policy director, Michael McNair, approaches me in the men's washroom. He looks upset. "That was kind of bullshit," he says. Before making his way to the urinal, he tells me I shouldn't have asked the Prime Minister questions or recorded the answers. The Globe should consider its relationship with the government before using the quotes, he says. So at best, here is Justin Trudeau's policy director scolding a journalist for daring to try to do his job. And at worst, the policy director is actually threatening a journalist with reduced access to the Prime Minister for asking one of the most useless and non-threatening questions anyone has ever asked Justin Trudeau, outside of, "What's your favorite color?" Now, next I've got to show you this video from the House of Commons, where Trudeau attacks an independent media outlet who is often critical of him, and he does it by name. Just listen.
Mr. Speaker, quite obviously, the most powerful staff member to the most powerful politician in Canada should not be calling people Nazis. Will the Prime Minister condemn and apologize for the comments of his principal secretary?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, when it comes to civil discourse, when it comes to the kinds of back and forth that happens in this House, it's a real shame to see the Conservatives using lines straight out of Rebel magazine and Rebel webcast. The Rebel should not be writing commentary and questions for the members opposite. They should know to disassociate themselves from that kind of politics and those kinds of personal attacks.
Wait a minute here. It's my understanding that attacks on the media are a threat to democracy, and yet here Trudeau is attacking our upstart independent media company in the House of Commons, of all places, our very house of democracy. And lastly, just yesterday, according to this tweet barfed out by the Government of Canada newsroom, Liberal ministers Bill Morneau and Jim Carr co-chaired a quote-unquote successful Canada-China Economic Financial Strategic Dialogue in Beijing. That's the same Chinese-Canadian trade organization that was lauded by Justin Trudeau in an earlier video. But about that so-called successful Canada-China Economic Financial Strategic Dialogue in Beijing, boy, that's a mouthful. Looks like we're just going to have to take the Government of Canada's word that it was successful because, according to this CBC reporter right here, at the behest of the Chinese, all reporters and media were banned from the event. So media were banned from this event just a day or so after Trudeau peacocks to the international media about how he's so very, very in support of journalists. And yet Carr and Morneau, they didn't protest this exclusion of the media in China. No, instead they went right ahead with their speeches. Big success, or so the government tells me. If this is what Trudeau supporting the free press looks like, I'd hate to see what it would look like if he didn't. For the Rebel.media, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. Did you know that we have a new Rebel Media mobile app? It's available on the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. Download it, give it a whirl, and take the other side of the story with you wherever you go.